Hey everyone, I'm Evie and welcome back or welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing what my daily routine looked like in Year 12, which ultimately helped me achieve a 98.80 ATAR. I know it can be so difficult to balance all the responsibilities and study routines in Year 12, and I hope that this video can give you some clarity. Please just remember though that this is just what I did and it doesn't mean that you have to do the exact same thing. Everyone's life holds different responsibilities and different obligations, and this is just what I did, and I hope that you can use it to fit your own schedule and your own unique life. With that being said, let's get right into it. So to begin, in the mornings, I woke up at about 5:45 and made sure to have enough time in the morning to still have some peace and quiet before the busyness of the day begins. So I'd have some time in prayer and I'd make my bed, and then I would make and eat some breakfast. While I was having breakfast, I used this as admin time. So I would read through my school emails, look at my timetable for the day, and have a look at what the teachers had planned for our lessons for the day. I would see what we'd be learning, what questions we might be answering, and I'd then begin to develop some questions in my head that I could ask on the topic, and also see if there was any necessary prep that I had to do before the lesson. I found this small habit really helpful because I could walk into every lesson prepared for what we'd learn for the day, and I sort of knew what to expect and felt more confident walking into every class. After this, I'd then get dressed and get ready for the day, pack my bag, and then spend some time with family before we all went off to school or work for the day. I'd leave the house at about 7:30 and arrive to school at 8 o'clock. I'd then spend about 40 minutes in the library just completing some work. I used this time to polish off my study notes, work on any assessments, and to also attempt some HSC practice questions on what we'd been learning that week, and I'd often hand those questions into my teachers as well. Even though 40 minutes each morning may not sound like a lot, it really compounds so much over time, and I found that that small habit of just getting to school a bit early and getting some work done really helped me set a positive momentum for the day and really be in a productive state of mind. During the day, I tried my best to use my class time productively and complete all my work while I was in the class. However, before I left every class, I would write down any homework I had to do so I wouldn't forget. On days that I had study periods, I used that hour to do a similar thing where I'd be working on assessments, working on homework, and I really tried to use that time productively and to not get distracted. When it came to lunchtime, I always tried my best to have lunch with my friends because retaining that social aspect of school is so important, especially when Year 12 can be so busy and so stressful. However, I did take part in a couple of extracurriculars, so some lunchtimes I was helping out at debating club, at leadership meetings, or running SRC meetings. Even though this did add some extra responsibilities to my time in Year 12, I found that it was so helpful and it made my Year 12 experience so much more rewarding and enjoyable. And if you're considering if it's worth it, like taking part in extracurriculars, I'd really recommend that you do because you get such a broader Year 12 experience than if you're just stuck in a study bubble. So after our classes for the day, I'd get home from school at about 3:30 and I'd take a bit of time to get changed, have a snack, and have a little bit of time to rest. And then I would then start my work for the afternoon. I found that I was usually doing about 2 to 3 hours of work in the afternoon, but when it was like really busy, such as trials or the HSC, it was a little bit more. The work that I was doing was really varied. It was often completing homework that we had from that day, such as completing the maths textbook exercises or any biology questions or whatever we'd been given by our teachers. And I of course also used that time to polish off any practice questions, work on my assessments, and sometimes I'd even do practice papers. For instance, when it was term 3 around the HSC trials, when I'd get home from school, I was practically just doing practice papers. To structure this study time, I made a to-do list. So as I mentioned before I left every class, I'd write down any homework I had to do. So before I'd actually start my study, I would sit down and structure everything in the greatest to the least priority. The greatest priority tasks were things that were due the next day, assessments with a deadline, or studying for an exam that was coming up. And the lower priority tasks were things that still needed to be done, but didn't have to get 100% done that afternoon, such as polishing off my study notes, making flashcards, or attempting some HSC practice questions that were more of a self-directed study tool. That way, as I progressed through my study time, if I didn't get the chance to reach my least time-pressured tasks, I could reschedule them for later that week or on the weekend when I had some more time. I found the to-do list really helpful because everything was written down or typed up in front of me, and I didn't have to rely on my memory and I wouldn't be worried about forgetting something, and I found ticking off every task really rewarding. As a study break, I'd always have dinner with my family, and I found it so grounding to still have that time with family to really rest and unwind and remember that studying isn't everything and that human connections are so important. Once I'd finished all my work around the day, I gave myself about half an hour to unwind and relax, and the specific thing that I'd do to relax really just depended on the day, but it could be something like reading a few pages of a book, watching a video, or messaging some friends. I'd then shower and do my night routine, and I'd get to sleep at about 9:30 every night. For me, sleep is so important, and I still had to get 8 hours of sleep every single night, regardless of how busy my Year 12 schedule was. I found that sleep was the most productive thing I could do because some nights I would stay up to study, and it's so tempting to do so when you have so many tasks on your to-do list. But I found that with 5 or 6 hours of sleep, I couldn't function the next day, I'd have no motivation to study, and I wouldn't get any productive work done. I'd really recommend getting enough sleep because it helps you be so much more alert, you can actually remember what you learn, and you feel so much more positive and motivated to actually tackle those hard tasks on your to-do list. Something that I really wish I knew earlier was that having a well-rested mind is going to help you perform so much better than having a tired and burnt out one. On weekends though, my schedule looked a bit different because I worked for a few hours on a Saturday morning at a casual job and would spend more time with family or friends if there was something like a birthday or a catch-up lunch. However, when I was home on a weekend, I pretty much spent all that time catching up on schoolwork throughout the week, and it was mostly spent doing those tasks that had less of a time pressure and didn't necessarily have a due date, such as writing my summary notes, making flashcards, and testing myself on those flashcards. If you're curious on these specific study methods that I used in Year 12, as I mentioned quite a few in this video, feel free to check out this video here, which goes into a lot more detail on all the specific things that I did to help me achieve the result that I did. So that's what my general daily routine looked like in Year 12. I hope this video was able to help you in any way, and please remember once again that this is just what I did and you don't have to do the exact same thing. I have many friends that had very different routines to me, yet they still achieved amazing results, and you can still do the same. Everyone has a unique life and a unique learning style, and it's so important that you do what works best for you. If this video was able to help you out in any way, please feel free to like and subscribe for more content just like this. And please feel free to comment any questions or video suggestions that you have because I'd love to help you out. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!